somebody. I was with a friend of mine. I didn't just like take my earbuds out. I know, I saw. Yeah. I just let my kids do themselves. Thank you. But yeah, so I was just going to whole area. And then many years later, I went on a date to BYRD. I thought I got high school that pointed to that. And I had been in California for a long time. And he pointed to a picture and be like, you know, that's friend. And I went, oh my God, I love to see a Lamb of God ever here. And they were in like Iceland. Right now? I mean, they're just like, it's kind of like with GWAR. They're so popular that they don't even get here that much. Yeah.
Oh shit, that's right, they're redoing this finally. Awesome. Yeah.
No, you're fine. The ironwork is really cool.
Yeah, we'll be at work.
Yeah.
The box office, then you actually see all the ripples.
It's like we're gonna watch Slipknot and they're gonna be like,
Thank you. Thank you. I don't think maybe one I mean, it depends on.
wrong band kid, wrong church. Thank you.
I don't know if we can get back
where you came in. If your children become restless, please take them to the lobby. And please note, no cell phones or texting during the show.
Boner!
At the end of the performance, please exit using the lobby exit door. And please help us keep the BYRD clean by disposing of your snack and drink containers in the receptacles provided in the lobby. And thank you for helping to preserve Richmond's landmark movie palace. Now enjoy the show.
It's showing in theaters everywhere, and moviegoers are all the same.
When I get to 3, I just want you to scream at the top of your lungs so that Dave can hear you. Right? And you'll be amazed at how good this feels. And it's something that he did all the fucking time. 1, 2, 3.
You know, it's just such a huge thing that we'd all been working on and dedicating our lives to, and there's so much more to this band than any one person could put into it.
There's 4. Thanks, everybody, for coming. I guess we don't really have a moderator for this, but yeah. Do we have any questions? I'll be the moderator.
So I guess my question is, with the popularity of the band, with the GWAR in the past few years, with it being absent, is there any chance we'll ever see it back? Because I can speak for a lot of people in this building right now. That was one of the things that we all look forward to every year.
The barbecue?
Yeah! Bring it back!
We need sponsors.
It's not gonna happen.
All right, yeah.
$5!
I got $5!
And breaking even. Like, it's we love doing it, we want to do it. We need sponsors to help us because we're too old to kill ourselves to break even. So it just became a break-even scenario that we couldn't sustain, but we want to do it. We still have the trademark, and we desperately want to do it again. So help us. Anybody raise your hand?
Is there somebody who can bring a microphone up to the audience? We're just gonna yell it out. Just yell it out.
Tell us, I saw y'all at Flood Zone, and people got naked, and then I didn't see y'all for 10 years. Y'all want to tell everyone a little bit about being banned from Richmond?
Dave Brocky loves to get nude. Pure and simple. So typically, a show like the Flood Zone, The band's exhausted. They're getting out of their costume as soon as possible. They're not waiting to the audience to finish yelling for a second encore, typically, and Dave would go, he'd be like out of costume, completely naked, and he'd go, well, where do we want to go? All right, okay, let's go. He'd take the band out there, and he'd be naked, and Flood Zone didn't like that. Being that it served alcohol, that was a ABC violation, so we were banned from Flood Zone for how long?
Okay, so we got Brock, he was always a person. He never let the truth stand in the way of a good story. He told me that the Richmond City Council banned GWAR in Richmond. I never saw any shred of evidence of that as someone who has exhaustively tried to find evidence for everything in this band. I think it was a story. I think because we got the Flood Zone shut down, no band in town, no club in town would book us until what's the one in the alley? Alley Cats.
Alley Cats.
Woo! During that tenure, we had Twisters twice because it was a pickup show. I think the band was a myth that Dave created because it was really good press and we were touring a lot. If you could find some evidence that City Council banned GWAR for 10 years, I would love. But that was just a good story that Dave was like, we don't want to play Richmond anymore.
We didn't get technically banned. We did get the Flood Zone's liquor license pulled because of the nudity and also the fact that Dave was driving golf balls into the audience. Yep.
In my research, because I was friends with some of the owners of the Flood Zone, they were mad at me, and I went and pulled that police report, and the Flood Zone had 12 ABC violations, and one of them was GWAR.
Yeah.
So,
and there weren't many ABCs. The ABC read an article in the paper after the fact and said, oh, you had nudity on stage, so that's another violation to add.
It was underage drinking, the toilets were broken, there were 11 ABC violations that had nothing to do with GWAR. But GWAR was a big thing to make a good press about. We always make really good publicity, so it ran as, GWAR banned from Richmond for 10 years.
But now we get to play the National all the time, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
Any questions? Hands, anybody?
I just wanted to ask you guys, as the fan, what do you think? What was that moment in your career with music that you thought that, holy shit, we made something truly great musically? Like, what album, what a specific song or album where you just like, holy shit, this is the best thing ever?
I play a monster, I don't play guitar, so.
As we think of it in those terms, we don't think of it in those terms. I think we just think of it as we're going to get together and make art, we're going to make some music, and we put it out there and see what happens. I don't think there was a light bulb went off, and at least not in my head, where it was like, oh man, this is the greatest ever. I just always look forward to just making more with these guys. That's my take.
The new one. The last thing we did is always the greatest thing ever.
So go by the new album. It's out now.
It's like you gotta make a new song so you can make a new pop to do at the new show. So it's like the ideas never stop. More excuses for more fake dicks.
I'm sorry the world is getting to a point where dick jokes aren't funny anymore. They're still funny to us.
Hold on, over here.
Hi, I'm a filmmaker.
Matt. We can hear you.
I'm a filmmaker in Virginia. I just wanted to know about your film journey in general, what you learned, all that, and like your favorite parts of it. I know it's a lot of work.
Well, we didn't make this. We we collaborated with the filmmakers. So, do you mean about our films that we made in like the Alice in Wonderland? Is that
film in general, you know, all those films that we worked on. Hunter Jackson was, he was a commercial arts major, and I was a fine arts major. Both of us had illusions of being filmmakers at the same time. And I didn't realize that there was no proper film degree at VCU. But I took everything I could, and Hunter was somewhat the same way. And those early initial film productions, he collaborated with a friend, Ted Sanderson. And a lot of that footage that you see in the documentaries is Ted Sanderson's footage. But basically, the entire time, both I and Hunter were in GWAR. We were more or less frustrated filmmakers. It was always a struggle to get behind the camera and direct because everybody else wanted to do it. But it seemed in particular between Dave, Hunter, me, and then the occasional other person that came in and went. There was a three-way battle to control that. And unfortunately, the way our films turned out, it kind of shows. There's some chaos there. There's definitely a bunch of people pulling the whole thing in different directions. But maybe that's what gives it a charm. Because, you know, for me, when I watch film, the one thing I hate is knowing what's going to happen next. You know? So that's one thing you'd say about Phallus and Skullhead Face is, like, oh no, what the hell's going to happen next?
If you could do a joint project with another artist that is not the Aquabats, who would it be?
Matthew Barney. Matthew Barney, I don't know, he's he's probably one of the biggest artists, but I've met him and he's a big GWAR fan, and I think he's the type of person that makes the kind of art that GWAR likes to make, except he has proper financial ability to do it. And I think all the weird ideas that we have, if we could find backing for them, we would do something similar to the Creepmaster series. That's my opinion. I don't know about anyone else, but I think Matthew Barney would be fantastic to collaborate with. But
I don't think we have much pull with the wine and cheese crowd, so I don't think we'll get the money. Sorry to break it to you.
No, but what artists would you want to collaborate with?
What I want to collaborate with? Somebody with a lot of...
Woo! I don't see.
Dirk can't get down the stairs because he's wearing 9-inch platforms. Now the pictures off the wall. It's like Spinal Tap. Everything that happened in that movie happened to this band. That lost backstage. Carlos is like going out and getting the Air Force radio frequencies.
You're doing great! Keep it up!
Mars blows everything up! No one in this band is getting electrocuted. Hold the guitar where they're spewing water on you.
Why don't you have electricians in the band? Why don't you have electricians in the band?
They have plumbers!
Jesus!
Our tour manager's right here. He's fixing it. We all need plumbers. Why don't you do a question? Somebody, raise your hand. That guy right there.
I'll tell you, the worst one that I've ever had, or actually the worst thing I ever had, I played the character Mr. Perfect, right? Giant monster, he's about 9 foot tall. I fell over and I wear a secondary mask. My hands are stuck into tentacles that are in the arms, right? And I fall on my face, I almost fall off the stage. But the whole thing squished against the rubber mask and started suffocating me. I was like, my arms are trapped, I can't do anything. I'm like, ah! And I'm like fighting my way as these guys are desperately, I can't talk to them. They're trying to stand me back up to go, okay, keep going. And I'm like, I'm dying. And they're like, trying to put me up. So finally, I just wiggled completely out of the entire costume and let them go, well, the bad guy just died. that was the I think you always miss the times where it's how crazy it would be to be if Dave put you in a headlock in the face rip and not think that, oh, it's going to seal up, and then if somebody can't see the spew, they start hitting it, and it's just filling the mask up, so you're literally drowning the mask. So there was all these times where there's all these close calls. I know I've had injuries. I think everybody in the band has physically just worn their body out. This guy's got to be back there the whole time doing this, and it's crazy, man. It's definitely a task.
I don't think anybody has gotten injured. I have. Just want to say I've not been injured once. Proud more than yourself. Next.
Can we go with funniest? Funniest memories of GWAR times.
The funniest. There's goddamn too many of them.
Shoot!
Take one.
I got one. So, early on in the days, 88, 89, playing small clubs, and, usually there wasn't any kind of shower or, any way to clean off. And we didn't have a hotel before it to go to those afterwards. So we would just basically finish the show, be soaked in blood, grease paint all on our eyes and stuff, jump in this horrible looking school bus, and hit the road for the next show. And of course, you're leaving, I guess you're on the road around 1 or 2 in the morning, later, and everybody's starving because they hadn't had anything to eat. And so on this one particular place, I think we just had a show and we're on the road, I think it's either South Carolina or North Carolina. And we said, oh, there's a starving market. We'll go there and eat. And so picture working a starving market at 2 a.m. You're in this starving market. Nobody there, nobody in the parking lot, all of them, probably watching the TV set, bored out of your mind. All of a sudden, there's the TV covered. And then 20 blood-covered zombie wolves come staggering out of this box. Walking towards your father's arms. That guy is like, just walked up. Next thing you know, oh, it's back. World's fastest police response in history. World's fastest. The cops were there, boom, they were checking us out. And, luckily we checked out. We weren't covered in blood. It's all fake.
Well done.
Ryan, don't touch on this one. Yeah, I know the movie's not about these guys, but any opinions or thoughts on ex-cops?
Better than GWAR.
Listen to the barbell!
I am in communication with Pete Lee all the time, and we are working on material over the internet. Hopefully, maybe next year we'll actually get into the same place and be able to play together. It's kind of hard to do over the internet, but yeah, we'd love to do another, at least single next year. Hopefully, have something out. I think it'd be really amazing if X-Cops was a band that could just play like a show at festivals every couple of years or something.
Any chance you get the old drum?
Probably not. Mike Dunn is We probably have to get another drummer to replace Mike Dunn. Brad actually played drums on a couple.
Where can you find one of those?
I don't know any other drummers.
That's the audition.
I don't want to do it.
So you guys are kind of like the art collective. For how many of you guys is it more about the music or is it more about the art that you're putting out there? Like just the visual art or the musical art?
Well, I think
You cannot have one without the other.
yeah, other places, like, you know, the thing that separates us from Rob Zombie and Marilyn Manson is that we're not someone who comes up with a lot of ideas and pays other people to do it like we are. It's really, really hard to be a collective, and it's why no one bothers to do it, because it's so ridiculously painful to, you know, work with other artistic people and try and get your way, and that's why there's no other GWAR. So, like, it's equal, it's all important. I love coming up with an idea for a monster and then having a song written about it, or having a song
You want to get your cool idea in, you're going to have to tolerate somebody else's stupid idea. And that's just part of the collaboration, you know? Yeah.
But I think GWAR's done a really good job of blending them together. So it's like you can, it is one art, it's one product that we're making, but like people who don't like metal can still enjoy the art of GWAR. And you can sit down and still love the GWAR album without seeing it. So it works on a much different level. It's really enjoying to see it all come together. A favorite character?
Favorite character, Slaughter?
Hey guys, thanks for being here tonight. I just wonder what other country does really receive you well?
Canada. Germany.
Yeah, Germany loves it.
Yeah, you guys were okay this time, but last time it was a little bit better. The first time we went, I remember there's this band in Germany, and we're all just stoked to play there. We're young, we're like 22 maybe.
R.I.P.
He comes to the, I got this. He comes to the back, and he's like, "Oh my God, this show, magnificent, unbelievable, it's the greatest. The show is superb. But the music I don't like." First German review.
So I have a question about VCU and during those times when they rejected that illustration and stuff. That's what I got more out of the film. Well, one of the things I got out of the film, but me, I grew up late 2000s to 2010s, seeing how VCU exploded and music like jam bands started coming through to Richmond a lot, and just Virginia Beach, just up and down the coast. But like, I can't believe like VCU rejected that illustration, like comic book stuff. Like, how did you guys feel? What was that whole process? Like, what the hell? Like, you would think VCU nowadays would, you know?
Yeah, me too. I'd be happy to explain it to you. The Fine Arts Department wants stuff that's gallery oriented, and the Commercial Arts Department wants stuff that's good for reprint. It used to be for magazine layup and things like that. So it was magazine, commercial illustration was the closest you could get to.
Figurative.
Yeah, figurative painting and commercial art, the closest you could get. But if you did fine art painting, they did not want you doing, you know, figurative artwork for the most part, especially fantasy kind of stuff. So yeah.
When I was a little younger than the original GWAR guys, but I had the same problem, and I realized that all of my teachers had been art students in the 60s, and during the 60s it was a revolution against figurative stuff. It was all abstract.
Hans Hofmann.
Yeah, it was all that stuff, and those guys were my teachers. So anytime you did anything that represented anything, they were like, "Oh, that sucks." So I dropped out. And I know Robert Williams and Juxtapose has a lot to do with the changing of that in art schools across the country. It's not just VCU, but in general, VCU rejected anything figurative, anything representational until like the mid-2000s.
But you also have to look at stuff like, where's the money, right? Like, where are those industries going? Because like, oh, who'd you think there'd be that much money in comic books or there'd be that much money in those industries later on down the line? So that's where, you know, they always gravitate towards, well, we gotta teach these kids how to do that now, you know? So, I mean, I'm with Bobby, I did the same thing. We were at a weird time with art school in general. You know, I think there was sort of a changing of the guard going on around about that time, so.
Yeah, my art teacher, Miss Marion, flunked me. Joke's on you.
You're a really good plumber!
But I'm sure the art department in 2022 is a lot different than the art department was in 1984.
Yeah, 100%.
Next, Silver Jacket, go on.
Doom shit.
What would you all say your best decisions you ever made in band are, or worst regrets you ever made?
I mean, I think the movie captures several of them. I think the Baby Dick Fuck thing, I think it's funny because right after that there's the line where Dirk said we never had a chance to sell out, but right before that was sort of our chance to sell out. Yeah. Going with Warner Brothers. But I think we all kind of think maybe we should have gone with Warner Brothers because not because we don't believe we're not against censorship, we very much are, but when Metal Blade put that out later, the song was taken off anyway, so it didn't really matter.
The backstory was, and maybe I can explain it this way, Dave made a very impassioned speech. They came to us and they said, look, this song is going to be a problem. And Dave made a very impassioned speech. It was like fucking Alexander the Great at the very end of his campaign, you know, when the soldiers were about to mutiny. And he gave this eloquent speech for, freedom of speech and all. And so, okay, right, well, we're sticking to our guns. And so, like I said, the doc, we shipped 70, and Walmart sent that 40,000, like, within a week or so. So, it wasn't like it ever became a big, moment in fighting censorship. It was just behind the scenes, we were just quietly crushed by Walmart, you know. And once Priority Records, i.e. Warner Brothers, saw that, they're just like, GWAR, well, tried to work with them. A little too tough to work with. They're their own, they're their own men, so we'll just let it go. And I think that's what they realized. And the sad thing was, in my eyes, was that Baby Dick Fuck wasn't really a hill to die on as far as music goes. It wasn't going to make any difference. If that had been cut from the album, nobody had ever known or complained, you know.
Well, but to add to that, Don, is the fact that once you have a record label that comes to you or the distributor to say, like, we have to remove this song, and it didn't matter because they removed it anyway, the next step to that, the slippery slope, is the next time you write some music, they're going to be like, we think you guys should write music and talk about this. And at that young age and the ferocity of, even with these old assholes that are up here right now, and me included, we still probably would make the same decision, because you can't be an artist and make art or music and have somebody be like, well, we think you guys should do it this way. And you're like, well, it's my idea. Who the fuck are you? Like, right?
Yeah, but we went ahead and did stuff like that anyways. We did covers that nobody wanted to hear. It's like Alice
That's what we were trying to
cover.
make. That's what we were trying to actually get back in the game.
Yeah.
Cover Alice Cooper. We're so bored. But yeah, don't ever compromise your fucking
School's out for
summer. Don't do that. It's not worth it. We wouldn't have fucking made that decision again. Maybe Don would have, not me.
So, when you were a band so much, you used to come to Detroit a lot, and I used to see you guys every small club that you played.
Blondies.
Blondie, yeah, it's been destroyed. Just totally destroyed.
Harpo's.
Yeah. See, and I mean, there's some great clubs, and it was really interesting because we have a Richmond, Michigan. For the longest time, I really thought that you were from Michigan. You were a local band because we see you so much. You're like, they're from Virginia. I'm like, wow.
I'm from Michigan. I was born in Detroit. Yeah.
Born in Detroit, me too. Detroit. So it's
no applause for that. Fucking
yeah.
Where the fuck would any of you be without Detroit?
It's a great
Traded music and cars. How the fuck did you get here?
Japanese car.
Which Detroit created. So the Japanese can make money. My car's created.
So during these kind of years when you were playing smaller clubs and that, there's a lot of momentum going on, and did you really guys see that, like, where you could go with this, or was it just like, we're just gonna go with it however it goes, or was there kind of like a vision to push towards?
I think that the documentary covers that because as people that were sort of more behind the scenes, there was always a fight in control over like the vision of the band, and with so many people that had so many different visions, it kind of went towards what, the money is the thing that kept it going, and the thing that made us the most money, that was the easiest because we were an art collective that was acting like a rock and roll band, was just more shows and more tours. And so that's just kind of, we gravitated towards the money. We wanted to make movies, we wanted to make comics, we wanted to make all kinds of stuff, but we weren't having anyone find those things for us. But we had booking agents and we had that stuff in place, and so we just kept doing that, and it's burned a lot of us out and kind of all those things you see in the movie. But that was it. It was like just follow some money, and we weren't really compromising. The stage shows were, what we loved building the stuff and playing the crazy characters. So that was something where we felt like we could at least be totally free, given the constraints of just the size of the stage or what we could afford to build. But we kind of followed that because that was the money.
Man, I thought we were just going to Cleveland.
Yeah.
Shut up. You was back home. Dave, you freaked out. Let's not work. Maybe it freaked you out.
Ooh, I know a couple.
Yeah.
We played Prague one time with another art collective, and they hated us. Like, I thought we were gonna bond because they were complete art weirdos. And one guy was dressed up like a snail that had Hellman's mayonnaise, like right on the side, and he's like crawled along the stage. The snail trail was Hellman's mayonnaise, and I thought it was the funniest thing I'd ever seen. And I was like, "Dude, you guys were awesome." And they were just like, "Yeah, we're great. You guys suck." Because I see myself more in a tradition of absurdist, kind of things that we try and do. So I like that. I love heavy metal, but I like the absurdist humor. So I was like, oh, these guys are cool. They're an art collective. And they were complete elitist dicks. So I was like, fuck these dudes. So I have their name on a poster somewhere. I can't remember what it's called. But,
what about the Melvins?
I know, I was going to say that.
Yeah. One of the greatest bands of all time, big influencers for us in GWAR. And we took them out on tour in the early 90s when, the crowds were very segregated. There were like punk rallies and metal dudes and punk dudes, and there were very few women in the crowd. Like now, today, the shows are great. There's a mix of all kinds of people, male, female, whatever, transgender, I don't care who's at the show. But back then, it was just like, these metal dudes hate these punk guys. And when the Melvins got on stage before GWAR, the GWAR fans really didn't understand their genius. And they were strung out on fucking heroin. So that doesn't move. So we get to San Francisco in the middle of the tour, and those guys just bail. They can't fucking handle it.
They got spit on. They got like.
It was terrible. Pitches of beer thrown on them.
It was like, we loved the Melvins so much, and we handpicked them to go on tour with us because we were all such big fans and knew they were going to be big, but our fans were at the dumbest point, and they just punched them. They spit on them, like they would be colored in blue boogies when they come on stage.
Yeah,
They would just play
Not fake
slower
boogies?
and longer, you know, just because they were like, fuck you guys. But it was hard to watch. And
Same thing happened to the Dickies, which is one of the greatest punk bands of all time. Same thing happened to the Dickies. Their drummer left in the middle of the night with all their money, all their heroin, and all their fucking gear. He joined and they joined Smashing Pumpkins. And then he OD'd with Tommy, the drummer from Smashing Pumpkins. He OD'd, and that guy's name was Jonathan Melwin, and his sister Wendy is in Prince's band.
Oh.
I don't know. Just weird ass bands. They fucking wanted to be on tour. We wanted to be on tour though, and it just didn't work out. And it's hard. You guys are fucking relentless. So keep it up.
Alright, I'm going to preface this with I don't have a fucking TV, so I might be behind the times, but with paid software coming back into being very vogue now, and also Mike Judge, are you guys going to do anything with either one of those?
I have no idea. I think the people that made this movie tried to approach him to get something to do with this movie, and he declined. So maybe our new management can do that. I mean, we would say yes, I think, pretty much. But I didn't know any of that was happening. So
Put We Kill Everything out on vinyl.
we have on our record label now. Every album
in the office.
Every album we get back from Metal Blade, we're going to slowly put out. So we're trying to do that.
Woo!
All right.
Hey, thanks everybody for coming out. The movie will be streaming on Shudder Thursday the 21st. Thank you very much for, I hope you're really
Thank you, guys.